Do you know that there is close to 5 million South African children that lost one or both parents? Where are these children today? Where are they? And if we don't get involved, they are our future. They're the youth of South Africa. They are our future.
Do they have shelter? Is there someone there just to comfort them? Are they cold? Are they wet? Are they hungry? And I just couldn't shake it.
Every day for an abandoned child is like a century. Not getting the right treatment, not getting the right food, not right medical care.
And it just didn't seem fair. I think what grabbed me was like, how is this fair? How is it that just because I was born here, and because my children were born here, they've been given every opportunity to thrive or realize their God-given potential, and just by chance or whatever that is, that some child is born there, they have to suffer. So it's like, then what do you do? Then you're left with this nagging. So now what do you do? In South Africa, you have your older generation of people who are just naturally, getting older and dying, right? And you have your younger generation of people, your children. But then there's this middle generation of people that are infected with HIV and are dying of AIDS. And they're leaving really a country of orphans.
The stigma and shame was enormous. People just didn't talk about it. And mothers only found out that they were HIV positive at the time that they would go for their pregnancy tests. Oftentimes, I'm sure the moms have passed away. Some of them were even too afraid to tell their family. So that was the reason why many of those babies were abandoned.
So you're ending up with children being raised without parents, no education, no health care, no supervision, oftentimes preyed upon, abused, outcast. So the situation is just that there just isn't anything that's big enough to catch that number of orphans and deal with it.
The scale of this problem overwhelms most people. There are 5 million kids right now that have lost one or both parents. And so most people don't want to attempt to make a difference because they're overwhelmed by the scale of the problem.
But for every problem, there is a solution. Oh, Lizzie. It's Mommy Gert. Dankie, ek is jammer, ons is so laat, Lizzie. Hello, how are you? Oh my gosh, how was it going, boys? Good to see you. You thought you were going to be in bed, hey? Hello. Acres of Love brings family to children who are orphaned and abandoned in South Africa. We bring in children who have no parents due to HIV/AIDS, extreme poverty, and bring them into family homes.
So you have 6 to 10 children generally that'll be raised as a sibling group with a set of house parents or a house mom who raises the children as their own. And they just operate as a family. So it's completely opposite of any kind of institutional care that typically you would think of.
I open and close my feet.
Acres of Love wants to provide continuity of care to these kids. The house parents build a bond with the kids, The assistants build the same bond with the kid, and it's just not a rotational door of people walking through the lives of the kids. They grow up together, they go on outings together, go to school together, and that's really become their close-knit family.
Please, Bianca, come sit with us and quietly we're all going to read together. Wait.
The model of Acres of Love is that it is a forever home, so the children stay here forever, and that is what makes Acres so incredible. We've had children who started with us when they were 15 months old and then are now at university.
Everything around that child is done, from the education to the love, to the residential care, to the medical care. Every single aspect of a child is taken into account.
We place our homes in middle-class neighborhoods so that we can be close to good schools, good hospitals, clinics, so we can tap into the first world infrastructure of a community like this.
We have about 200 in our day-to-day care. And I say about because we've got kids coming in and being adopted all the time. We also had to build a team around to take care of all these kids. So we have 120 people on our team.
Do you like your new house?
So we love our new house. I'm Anna Silimela. I work in Acres of Love. I'm a house mom. I have 7 boys, 5 boys of Acres of Love and 2 of my own that I take care of with the support of my husband. So in the morning, I prepare them for school. Then I prepare breakfast, and then I take them to school. I drive them to school. After my school run, in the morning, I take a break. Phew. There's somebody who comes in the day to come and help me. And I have an assistant also who comes Saturday and Sunday. I go pick them up, and then we'll help them with their homeworks.
2 dinosaurs.
They love playing. They don't like homework. So I make sure that they do their homework. Then I'll prepare supper, and then we make sure that they go to bed earlier so that I can get to rest for another day.
It sounds just like a home.
It's a normal home. It's a home for them. It's a home for me. And a child comes here, a child belongs to a family. I give all the love to the kids. All they need is love. All they need is love. So that's what I give to Acres of Love kids.
Many of the kids that have been admitted to Acres of Love suffer from severe neglect, malnourishment, physical neglect, physical abuse, kids with cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, autistic children, and we take those kids.
We just realized that those are the children that are really left behind in the hospital wards, that no agency, no other organizations wants to bring them in.
I've got a little boy who's now 3 years old. He couldn't speak, he couldn't walk. And then we just believed that the child cannot even hear. But he's been with us for a year now. He is amazing. Like, people believed that he wasn't gonna walk, but now he is moving. So there is hope that he'll be walking. So I think they are just so blessed to be in Acres of Love.
You know, many children that have suffered a lot of abuse or neglect don't really cry. And then they find their voice, and then they cry a lot because they know that somebody's going to care. Every child wants to belong, and I think that's the biggest question each one of us asks: who do I belong to? And belonging in a family is the greatest gift we could give the children. And at that moment that the child enters the doors of Acres of Love, that child belongs to a family. And I love that, to know that they know that they are loved. South Africa, I think it's the most beautiful place on earth. It's a very honest culture, friendly, diverse, complicated, harsh sometimes. It's just an amazingly alive culture, I feel. I always say to people, once you've put barefoot on the African soil, you can never take Africa out of you. So it is, for me, the country of my heart.
The story of our life, I mean, both my wife and I were prosperous and we were able to travel.
Yeah, we were very blessed. Ryan did really well. We were young, we were very ambitious. It was like living this perfect life, marrying the perfect man, having everything, being happy, and then experience a child with special needs and the reaction in the community and experiencing that rejection. I had a difficult pregnancy with Gareth. It felt like there was really a battle going on all the time. And he was born premature.
I mean, we would sit through the night, keeping him alive on 1 or 2 milliliters of milk, literally fighting for his life day to day. But sometimes from pain, wonderful things are birthed.
It sort of changed my parents' perspective on life, because it became less focused on them and more on this urgent care that my brother needed.
In South Africa, I think maybe in the mid-'80s, you just never saw special needs children, and I just wanted to protect Gareth from him not being accepted and loved the same way. But then it was incredible isolation too. We live in a society where we celebrate success and beauty and perfection, and when we have the weak in our midst, we shy away, and yet they bring out of us the most beautiful gift ever. I think that was probably where God just put a deep compassion in me. And at the same time, we were became aware of the crisis here. And I just felt there was something more that we were supposed to do.
We were on a sort of treadmill where you would learn success principles in order to just grow your wealth. And after you grow your wealth, you realize, is that it? At the time, we were very aware that families were collapsing in South Africa. We actually saw the results of that with people dying on the streets of AIDS, with children being abandoned by their families. And these are the things that kept us awake at night. Solving the problem for abandoned and orphaned kids became bigger and bigger in my life. So one day I felt, a still small voice on the inside say, well, what are you going to do about it?
We just have to start with what we have. And Ryan and I looked at each other and said, we have a home. We can bring in the children.
They, were able to keep the house that they originally bought when they got married, rent it out, but they decided instead of renting it out, they're just going to make it a house for a few kids.
And so we literally went to the government and asked them for permission to rescue babies. And we went into this ward and there were 50 babies that were left there. They released 6 of those kids to us.
We got the health certificate, got everything ready. But when those first babies arrived, there was a moment where I was thinking, wow, what do you think you're doing?
We really just didn't actually have a plan. We just thought, okay, cool, we have these kids. We hired some nurses, slept on the floors at night and, made sure that everything was running okay.
We didn't realize all the complexities around it, but by then we were already committed, and we knew that they would be in our life forever.
The lessons that we learned as a couple in raising our own kids, we apply in Acres of Love. You have to make the investment in a good education, and you got to live in a relatively safe neighborhood. They got to have good nutrition. They got to be loved. So we just apply these real practical principles that every family in the world does who are raising successful kids.
It took a lot of training for us with our team, to explain that you cannot get HIV by loving and holding these children. But the stigma and shame in 1998 was enormous. Because you just imagine people were afraid to touch them. And I think when those first 6 strollers went out in the community, people just noticed, and people just came from everywhere and helped. That was what was so fascinating. People visiting and holding a baby and bathing a baby and seeing them beautifully dressed and playing. It just took the stigma away that this isn't the way you would imagine an orphan is. It was just, I could love this baby. This could just be exactly like my own child. And I think that was really the most amazing thing to see. Now that I look back 18 years later, that I was not a qualified social worker, that I wasn't somebody that did a PhD in this work, because I started it as a mom wanting to bring family to children. So I attempted many things that I didn't realize maybe people would have said you couldn't do it. It's just been this amazing journey, and I feel so privileged. We are all in. This is long term. This is what we are called to do.
You know, I think my dad always had a dream to move us to the US. He wanted to give us an opportunity for an amazing education and to be successful.
I was thinking when we moved to America that it was just going to be this one house and we're going to fund it out of our business, and that was going to be what it is. Yeah.
My one son, Carlo, is a very good Division I football player. Spent a lot of time on the side of the football field, and as you know, in America, the dads get together, and so they always wanted to know where my wife was. And I said, well, she's in South Africa looking after the orphans there. More and more of these dads would come up to me and say, hey, we're intrigued by this work you're doing. Can we give you a donation?
We met the most amazing families, and we were allowed, through these families, we could build a bridge of the opportunity and wealth that there's in America, and build a bridge towards these children. It was a grassroots movement. People would say, I heard about Acres of Love, can I visit? And they would go and visit and say, we can do a house. We can actually do it. And it just went one house after the other. It's almost as if though that when they put their foot in South Africa and they meet those children, like something happens. People just heard about it, were touched, visited, said we can do it, we can help, how can we help?
And the great thing about being a donor is that there's just no cookie cutter way to be involved. It's very organic. It's really like you take what you have, you bring your heart, and just get involved wherever you are. For some people, they're really wealthy, and that means they support one home completely on their own. For some people, that means giving $50 a month, and what the difference that will make if we get enough people to do that.
I think the success of this model program is the fact that people have connected with the children, have a relational ownership, and they just didn't exit. They don't exit. It's not like anybody said, hey, stay on board forever. It is they make that decision and they just stay year in and year out.
This is a community effort now. Acres of Love is a movement. It's a global movement. The assignment is to replicate our model program, to continue to rescue as many kids in our lifetime as we can. And the assignment is to bring a lot of people along with us. You know, we've probably impacted close to 600 kids. Over the past 18 years, many kids have come into our homes, lived with us for a while, and then have been adopted and live all over the world.
What was your life like before you came here?
It was nothing compared to Acres. There was no love, no joy, no happiness. There was no family attached. So there was pretty much no life.
Basically, my mother died while giving birth, so I had nowhere else to go. And a year later, Amichada came to the hospital and picked up the kids, and we came to Acres and we opened it up. Amichada opening it up gave literally hope for this girl that was literally going to have no future at all. My childhood is something I would never trade. Acres of Love has just given me the best childhood anyone could ask. I've literally done everything that a child could have done, and most importantly was that I was brought up with just love. love everywhere.
I know some people say you can't choose family, but in this situation, I felt like I've chosen the best family ever, and I am grateful for my sisters. I am grateful for each and every one of them. Without Acres, I just feel like I am nothing.
My oldest one he's turning 18 on May. I just can't believe that I've been with him for so many years. I don't look back. I want to see them when they finish school, when they graduate. I want to see them when they get married. I always tell them, and I said, even if you can get your own apartment, mommy's still going to come and check if you're still making your bed and cleaning up after yourself. Even if you are 30 years old, mommy's still going to come to your house, and they love. So I have to be here. I believe I have to be here for those boys. They're my boys.
There's 27 homes now. We got most of them in Johannesburg, a few in Cape Town. The government wants them to put a home in every township in Cape Town. One home to kind of represent each little township, 1,000 homes, and they're convinced that they'll do it.
I think we can scale up and open homes faster. We're really good at it now, knowing where to buy, how to equip. We have house parents in training all the time. So I can see us become family for many, many more children. I see many of our children being the leaders of tomorrow.
When I grow up, I basically just want to own my own fashion line, you know, just focus on African pride and I have a dream to just change young women's lives and just build a new generation, a new nation. And I hope to one day build a home like Michelle has done.
It started off with a small decision, and it just shows you just one leap of faith, what will happen. You know, the result of that has been unbelievable. It's been phenomenal.
Well, it's a ripple. So you throw a stone in the water and you will see the ripple. It's the same with Acres. So here she has touched the lives of children, but she's also touched the lives of families, the people who work for her, the volunteers that are involved. So it's impossible to say how many lives she has touched because it doesn't really ever stop.
There's no end. There's no end to the story. It just goes on and on. From sorrow to joy in every respect. Every person that comes into contact with it is blessed.
Through Acres of Love, we have seen just the best in mankind all the time. Each one of us can make a difference. And I would definitely say it's just to start with whatever it is. There's a need actually every day around us all the time. There's people that are really lonely even in our own communities. And I believe that we are the answer to that. And that's really the only thing that gives true fulfillment. There's so many things that's just fallen off my life that I don't know when it fell off. But the person I was before this journey and the person that I am today, it's been transformational in my life as well.